Hi everyone, how are you? Many thanks for being there. Also, I want to thank to the Save the Snakes team for the invitation and for organizing such a nice event dedicated to the snakes. On this very special day, I will offer you an overview of the state of human-snake conflict in Bolivia and what we are doing to try to mitigate it. So I'm going to share my screen now. Wait a moment, please. Okay, here it is. Yeah. Let me start by telling you a little about Bolivia, its environment, and its snakes, of course. Bolivia is characterized as one of the countries in America with the highest diversity of ecosystems. And this is because of the very special geographical position. The country is located in the southwest part of the Amazon. Amazon is more or less until here, limiting with dry ecosystems with high precipitation seasonality. Also, the Andes are here, more or less, being part of it. You can find very wet areas here. As a consequence, the high diversity of snakes is reflecting this environmental mosaic too. There are almost 200 species of snakes in Bolivia so far, but there must be more. For example, you can find the very typical Amazonian arboreal species, Bothros tenuatus and Bothros bilineatus here. Also, the ones more associated to dry areas, like the rattlesnake. This one, Crotalus durisus, is the only rattlesnake that we have in Bolivia. There is an endemic viper, this one, Bothros santacrucis, or the largest viper in the world, Lachesis muta. Here. I show you vipers because they are the group of snakes more relevant related to human-snake conflict in Bolivia, in America as well. So let's go to the conflict now. And for this, I show you here the total number of bites by year for the last 7 years in Bolivia. And we have 2025 until June, so there is half a year left. As you can see, it seems to be increasing by year. Probably more bites are happening, that's true, but there are other important factors that must be considered here. For example, access to health services, which is better now. And we know that Bolivian people go more to the hospital now than a few years before. And the epidemiological records are improving too, yeah? On average, there are 1,600 bites per year. But it isn't low if you consider that Bolivia has a low density population. We are around 111 million people in a big country. This is the number of the species, but if you check the incidence, the northern part of Bolivia here reaches the highest. And what about the species involved in the bites? Here we have a very important group of them, and not necessarily in this order of importance, but could be. Especially the first 5 species, they are very important in the bites because they are vipers that can be very common relatively locally in some areas. And they are able to live very close to human settlements, having many encounters with people. This one, the largest viper in the world, Lachesis muta, it's more associated to primary forest, but sometimes we register bites too. The bites can be very relevant. Coral snakes, like this one, Micrurus sorenamensis, is a very important species. They are involved only in a few bites in Bolivia and in America in general, but a coral bite can be very serious. So let's say that these species of snakes are among the most important in the conflict, in the human and the snake conflict in Bolivia. Persecution. Well, we don't have data for the whole country about this topic. That would be very difficult, but we have no doubt persecution is something very intense almost everywhere. In many tropical countries, when people see a snake, they will probably try to kill it. Many times, people don't distinguish between harmless and venomous species. Illegal trade is another important issue in our country. Snakes are not the most trafficked animals in Bolivia, but according to our records, the group of boas, anacondas, and so on, and the rattlesnakes are the most demanded one. The boas are trafficked because of to use them in traditional medicine, and also the skin, as you can see here, is very demanded too. And the rattles, they are demanded for rituals and superstitions. Yeah. So until here, this was very briefly a summary of the human-snake conflict in our country. And now I will tell you what we are doing as Pucarara project. Our project is focused on human-snake conflict in Bolivia. We combine research, conservation, and public health to help to the protection of snake populations and human welfare. We develop different strategies and components, but today I would like to tell you a little, to share with you a little about work related to research and education. Yeah, so let's go with research. We study the circumstances of around a snake bite. Yeah, I mean, how bites happen, when and where, to whom, which species are involved, these kind of questions. Yeah, and to do that, we have focused in a rural hospital right here. Yeah. We have been registering during more than 1 year all the snakes bites. Yeah. As a summary, in 1 year, we could register 150 bites. The profile of, on average, the profile of our patients was a man between 20 and 39 years old. The bites happen during the day, mostly on food, during different agricultural activities, and the tourniquet was the most common first aid, although it is highly contraindicated. Also, we could register new symptomatology associated to several colubrids. And some of these results are already published, and some of them not yet. Well, as I said, many patients bring the snake with them to the hospital already dead, although we try to teach them not to do that, by the way. Anyway, we are using those samples to carry out a taxonomic study about this viper, Bothros antecrucis, the Bolivian endemic viper. Moreover, this is a very important species for us because it registered the highest number of bites in our study. Yeah, so we are very focused on it. We are studying also several aspects, ecological aspects, as the diet, the composition of venom as well. In the same area of influence of this rural hospital, we are doing field work whenever possible because we study the communities of the snakes here. And for this component, especially has been very important the Save the Snakes grant, but that we received a few years ago because it allows us to reach all the places, and to do many workshops with the people as well. So until now, we could register more than 50 species in a relatively small area here. This is a very important area for us because it's an area very important for the human-snake conflict in our country. Yeah, we register many bites, and also the diversity of snakes is really high here. Yeah. We need to study in a deeper way this area. We want to know better the composition of snakes now. This is our next goal. So we will continue with the field work in a few months. Education. Since the beginning of the project, we are organizing different workshops for different target groups, mainly indigenous communities and farmers, health workers, and other workers such as soldiers, firefighters, local environmental authorities too, and sometimes in schools too. The most of the time we do these activities in the rural area. Yeah, this is something very important for our project because our main goal is to get to the people who live with the snakes. And those are the ones living and working in the field, right? As a complement to of our educational activities, we design different materials in different languages, in Spanish and also in different indigenous languages spoken in Bolivia, to try to get to more people, and we use them in different activities, as you can see here. Also, the radio is a very important channel for us, because in several communities we work with, there is no signal sometimes. So the radio plays a key role here. And during half a year, we have made a weekly radio program about snakes, coexistence, health, of course. It worked very well. I think we should go back to this now. Well, now we are working together through education and research. We are organizing different workshops, and we apply a questionnaire at the beginning and at the end of the activity to try to know, to have a better understanding of the experience, opinions, and perceptions of people about snakes, and also to be able to evaluate how effective our activities can be for promoting the coexistence. And something very important here is that all of these activities are carried out in small communities, some of them very isolated and far away from hospitals, because in these places people really need this kind of information from our side. We need to listen to them to have a better understanding of the conflict. Okay, yeah. Yeah, finally, just to thank all the people who made this come true. There are many people involved in somehow in different components or different moments of the project, and several institutions, so many thanks. And to say goodbye, let me say something in my language. Muchas gracias a todas las personas que trabajan por la convivencia con serpientes en América Latina. Many thanks. Chao, chao.